Hello, Philadelphia! I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gorgano Show!
Good morning! Good morning! Happy Election Day. This is the Anthony Gargano Show. We're brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Go to TrueMark.com/PHLY to learn about the credit union difference today. It's trade deadline for us in our little world. Well, everybody's voting. I did it this morning. It's trade deadline day. And already there has been a move, and it involves a defensive end, but it doesn't involve the Birds. The Lions replace Hutchinson. They go get Zadarius Smith from the Browns for a fifth and a sixth. They get a seventh back. I mean, he's got 5 sacks. He's older, legit pass rusher. I mean, I would have been happy with Zadarius Smith. I'll be honest with you. I thought that he might be in play for the Birds. I do think you need another edge guy, man. If you look at this team, and here we are, November. And November is when you look and say, who's serious contenders? Well, the Eagles, by record alone, are a serious contender. You look at their weapons on offense, and they're a serious contender. You watched last week, and it's funny. My man Fran Duffy, right before the show, got me fired up because he did a big O-line breakdown. And you got to check it out. It's really, really good. And you look at this offensive line that the Eagles have, it's ridiculous. I mean, if I'm Jalen Hurts, I'm on my knees thanking God that I got this O-line, Barkley, and 2 ridiculous receivers, right? Good news yesterday on A.J. Brown, so that's good. And it's Cowboys week. The Eagles are serious contenders. They're 6-2, and it's Cowboys week. And the beauty of this, no Dak Prescott. You get Cooper Rush. I mean, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion, right? Like, Cowboys are dead, playing bad ball. You're now there. No Dak. We'll see about CeeDee Lamb because he was hurt. They got better news with him, but he still may not play. So they're a mess, a complete and utter mess. So Birds could be 7-2 going into Washington. Suddenly, it's a week from Thursday that you circle. It's a big deal. The fact that Prescott's not playing, that was going to be their kind of get-right game at home. You avoid all that. You get to play a backup. You just play your game. You're going to win. Their defense is not good. So they're in a great place right now. Great place. I would like to see some help. If you look around, offensively, they're set, right? You're great. Defensively, the only real area is along the front, and it's along the edge. The pass rush is really the only place where you really could use some help. I know there's been talk about safety, and maybe, but clearly it's edge. Like, you need some pass rush help off the edge. That's it. Otherwise, they're a legit contender. Again, the offense is starting to click, and defensively, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, having those guys, it just means everything, man. It just does. Having those guys means the world to them. So, I look at this team. This team's ready to go. Now, the Lions are going to be nasty. We know that. We see what's going on. The AFC has separated its power, right? The AFC, this is November, so you separate. And in the AFC, it's Baltimore. They get Deontay Johnson, man. That's a great move by them. It's Baltimore, Buffalo, and the team last night, Kansas City. They're vampires. They don't lose. It's unbelievable. There was Patrick Mahomes. It looked like he was coming up lane. He did come up lane. He makes the throw. He stops. Non-contact. Everybody's thinking his knee. Now, he had an ankle going into the game, and he's hopping. And you go, uh-oh. Now, listen, I love that kid. I don't care what anybody says. Mahomes is one of the most likable superstars in history. He's just a great dude. He's a great, great player. He doesn't lose, and he's got a great personality. He's just an awesome. I love him. And it looked like he came up lame, and all of a sudden, just like in the Super Bowl, he's back running around, making plays, winning in overtime. Tampa Bay played him tough. And I know Todd Bowles is getting a lot of guff for not going for two. I can't blame the guy for that. I can't. Listen, your defense have been playing well, all right? I understand you take a shot. It's one play. If you don't believe that you got one play in your pocket, then stretch the game out. I can't kill him for that. I will say that you got to change the rules to match the postseason. You got to give them another chance. The game ending on a touchdown is ridiculous in this day and age. It's just not fair. You put too much weight on a coin toss. So everybody should get a possession. That's just really what it needs to be. So we'll get a lot of football today, obviously. We got Baldy's going to join us. With the 10 o'clock hour is going to be fun because back-to-back Baldy and Legs. We welcome Legs back to the program. Last night, Sixers fall to 1-5. It looked like they had a game one. They were up. Listen to this, 113-104. I watched it. Yabusele hits a three. So they're up 113-104. And then with 5 minutes to go, and then they blow it. Yabusele had a dunk to put them up 7 with 3:39 to go. KD takes over. He has the game winner. Paul George has a chance to tie. He misses the step back. But they look completely different with Paul George. I mean, Maxey had much better shots, much better looks. I mean, you can see that Paul George is winded. He shot 4 for 14, 1 for 7 from 3. But it's like you can imagine. I mean, once you have Paul George and Embiid, they're going to be good. Now, they lose last night. They fall to 1-5. All kinds of hoops last night. I'm watching Gonzaga, Baylor last night. Gonzaga looked nasty. Cooper Flagg made his debut for Duke last night. All kinds of stuff. So we got this is a great sports time, man. I love it. I was up late last night watching all the football and all the basketball. It was the best. All right, let's meet the cohorts. As always, VG Violations Greg. There he is. Look at this. Back from his hiatus. JP.
Buenos dias.
JP was working with Johnny Marks.
Good to be back
filling
here.
in for our boy.
Yeah, making sure John was smooth sailing and Tyler, of course.
Well, Tyler had a baby.
That's right.
So we love Tyler, and he had a baby. So you were
proud
filling
of
in.
that.
You were helping out. You got your Flyers hat on. You ready to go tonight? Flyers and Canes. Yeah. It's all right. Listen, you never know. Shock the world.
Yeah, there you go.
Shock
Talk
the
about
world.
shocking the world. How about the Big Five? All city teams won last night, 6-0.
Yeah.
Woo, college basketball's back. Philly hoops is back.
Well, the best is you got your
And with a last-second foul shot free throw, boom.
So when does the Q stuff come out?
Q's won last night.
No, when does it
I got a prop. The Philly teams last night came out 6-0. That's coming out.
It is coming out. I agree.
The Joe Draxel.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Everybody was all out. I love college basketball. I think it has a renaissance this year. I'm feeling like there's a lot of chatter around it. Like the Cooper Flag. I don't know if it was just me because I watched He loves Cooper
He's
Flag.
seen one dunk highlight. He's a Cooper Flag guy.
I know.
Love Cooper Flag.
Andrew loves him.
He wants all the Coopers in
Andrew,
Philadelphia.
Andrew doesn't watch college basketball, but all of a sudden you like Cooper Flag.
Get in here, Philly. Let's go.
He already ordered the jersey.
He posterized Maine last night. He's fired up.
Cooperdelphia. Come on, bring it.
He started talking about, how about Cooper? I know they played Maine. Did you know they played Maine?
No,
No idea.
There's a Maine.
I respect that even more because he's like, I don't front. He's not a guy. He's not a college man.
Yeah, I mean, I even taken pride. I like Nova won. I usually hate Nova, but I like all the city teams winning last night.
There's my Nova love is just taking it
waning.
It's waned big time.
Yeah.
And it was only because I was such a Jay Wright. I love Jay.
How can you not? I despise Nova, but I love Jay. He made it harder to keep the.
And I can't. I always say I obviously Temple first, but I need to
For sure.
to go to rep all the teams because it's part of the 4-for-4 landscape, right? Like we're all one when it comes to college.
Gotta get. I gotta look, man. I think Thursday night's the Palestra game. I'm gonna have to go stop down there. See a little Penn hoops.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. You're spot on. Last night, Paul George coming back. They look like a real offense.
Yeah.
Hey, they look like an NBA team finally.
Yabusele's good.
He's a steal.
Yabusele's really good.
Yes.
Role players, cuz? Role players?
Yeah, he's good. Yabusele's good player.
Better than a role player.
No, he is. He's legit.
Yeah.
No, Yabusele's legit.
And he looks like a linebacker.
I do.
Yeah, he's big. He's got nice touch.
Yeah, yes, he does.
He's got
Low
good
center
touch.
gravity.
Here's the thing. They look just like a real team. Having Paul George back means everything. It just does. Now you could imagine when Embiid's there, they're going to be really good. They are. They're going to be really good. And of course, they're 1-5, so you got to stop. They
win last night if George has his legs.
do. They do. At some point, it's early, so you're not worried about it. But those guys are going to miss games throughout the course of the season.
Yeah. Playing game. Here we go. Get hot right at the end.
Playing game. Oh, my
You don't
God.
want no days off. We saw with the Phillies. You got to keep playing.
Oh, dude, don't bring that
Season playing game right into
We're gonna
the conference
playing.
finals.
Oh,
up.
my
I don't
God.
want any parts
Did you see the football game last night?
The
I
Chiefs,
did.
cuz. Legit.
They're highly
they're
annoying.
scary, man.
I just want to see them lose at some point.
No matter the
Dude, I
injury.
hear you. Listen,
I can't believe I'm waiting root for Baker Mayfield to beat them.
Oh, me too.
Ugh.
Baker's good.
He's fine.
Oh, he's good. He's good. Listen.
Is he better than Jalen?
What's that?
Is he better than Jalen?
Yes.
He is.
Well, as a quarterback, as a guy, he's a different style quarterback.
All right. Okay.
But again, Jalen gets the way Jalen's playing. Jalen's playing really well.
The Chiefs they're just
Baker had
by.
nobody last
No,
night.
he's got the Bucks are so banged up, and the Chiefs just scoot by.
Let's be real.
Yeah,
It's an interesting conversation.
When do they play a tough team? The Chiefs.
The Chiefs.
Well, again, their defense is banged up, and look how good they are. They stopped the run.
24. The Bucks put up 24 with no receivers.
In
I
2
love your
Sundays, they play the
Spags.
Bills.
What's that?
They play the Bills on the 17th.
That's going to be a good game.
That's a great game.
That's a game you want to see.
That's a great game.
Yeah.
That's a great game.
Dude, they always play a legendary
Literally,
game.
I got to tell you, they may lose one game.
Dude, what?
This schedule, they got Denver, win, Buffalo, tough, Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, Browns, Houston might be tough, Steelers, Denver. They're probably favored in every game except maybe Buffalo.
Yeah. Well, the Hopkins, man.
Huge difference. man.
Giving Mahomes Hopkins is ridiculous.
Did you see him after the game? He's like almost tearing up talking about playing with Mahomes.
I know.
He's been there 2 games.
I know.
It's the best quarterback to play with.
So it's funny. Listen, I got to divorce myself when it comes to them.
Yeah.
I like them, right? Like, I love Andy and Spags' family, and I'm a big Mahomes fan. I'll be honest with you. I was rooting for him last night. I really wasn't care. I don't, I'm kind of why,
I was indifferent last night.
I watch it, but I root, again, personally, I need to divorce myself from it, but I'm such a Mahomes fan. Dude, he's such a great player. I watch him, and he makes every throw, makes every play. He's just great.
They win.
He's great.
He never has a spaz moment. He's just
Never.
always in control. He's always knows what's going on.
And he's got the greatest personality. Like he's always up. He's just a great dude. He's I mean,
the anti-Brady.
Yes.
100%.
He
The
is.
anti-Brady.
He is. And he's money.
Yeah, he is.
He
money.
just makes plays all the time.
Yeah.
You know.
If I was Andy, I would just coach until Mahomes. I coach another 10 years. As long as Mahomes is playing, I just keep coaching.
You ride him out.
Exactly.
You got another
Break
5,
every
6,
record.
7 years, whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you ride him out. He's just a great player.
And he's the
As you've seen.
Terminator. He never gets hurt, so he's going to play for a long time. I mean, come on. Every time you think that he's going to be down and out, he's always getting back up. He's always back into the game. He's always there. It's crazy. Like last
He
night.
put a ball. I don't know how they got it was the Hopkins at the 1 yard line.
Oh, okay.
And there were 3 Buccaneers, and somehow that thing just drops in.
Dude, I mean, they're 7-0. He's until Hopkins comes, he's got no real receivers there. I mean, Xavier Worthy's okay for a big play here and there. But other
Dude,
than that,
he has a touchdown. You see what happened?
yes,
He's got a
Couldn't get his feet
touchdown.
in
His
bounds.
feet, like, dude.
He's no Devontae. That's
No.
for sure.
You're sitting there on the sidelines, you got a touchdown. You can't gather yourself to catch the
he's
ball. He
tippy-toeing.
couldn't even catch the ball. Like, forget about not scoring. He's right to just get the catch.
Yeah, man. He's like tippy-toeing on the sideline. Like this, he has no clue.
No
No clue where his feet were.
No, he said he had no idea.
Right.
But it's funny, you look at it, but you look at the Eagles offense, man. The Eagles are legit. The Eagles offense we thought going into the season that this offense would be ridiculous. And now you're starting to see it.
Yeah, they're Nick proof. That's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
It's a well-balanced attack, cuz.
You look at it. This is it. It's November, and they're a legitimate contender.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And count your blessings, too, that A.J. Brown, that knee was fine.
Oh, my God.
I mean, if that
Yeah.
was something more severe, you could be looking pretty bad.
The play went down and looked weird, too.
Yeah, it did look weird. Listen, the way they're playing offensively, like this is where I need Jalen just to play like this. He played, I know we had Fran on yesterday. Fran was talking about a couple plays here and there in the first half, and I saw him hold on to the ball, this and that. But overall, he played very well.
Mm-hmm.
He threw his good ball placement. He made decisions. Like he's just got to play like that.
He's playing smart football.
He's just got to play like that. He has the benefit of playing with a great offensive line, an elite running back, and 2 great receivers. All right? You can't screw it up.
Nope.
You can't screw it up. Like, that's it.
Yeah, cuz.
I know people get rabbit eared when it comes to Jalen. He's playing with a quarterback's dream right now.
Yeah.
All right? There's no excuse. He's playing with a quarterback's dream. You got to continue to play like this. You deliver. Like, I'm not going to nitpick, holding on to the ball and all. Like yesterday, I didn't nitpick that. Like,
I gave him my own baldy eye roll because he is holding on to the ball a lot.
I know.
Jeepers.
I know. But again, you got to just play it. If you play, not making mistakes. So if you're not making mistakes, that's fine. And against Jacksonville, it's good. You ride Barkley. Defensively is really what makes them a contender. The fact that they got that secondary buttoned up. And this is why Zadarius Smith goes to Detroit. I would have liked the Zadarius
Here we
Smith.
go. Please, Howie, I've said some things that aren't great about you. It's trade deadline day. Do us all a solid. The Saints are having a clearance sale, and Chase Young would look great here.
Ask the Peggin. Come on.
Thank you, Howie.
We need a little Peggin
You want the Chase Young?
magic.
Yeah, I'll take
Yes.
Chase
I
Young
wanna throw
here.
at Chase Young.
Yes.
What?
Because I feel like he's kind of fallen off ever since he got traded away from DC.
No way. You put him on this line, I think.
Nah, dude. I mean, seriously, you need him, bro.
He'd be a wrecker.
He's got to do something.
he's doing
I
here.
think Howie sees it. Like if you add a legitimate pass rusher to this defense.
I would have loved Zadarius.
Are you kidding me?
With the 5th and a 6th.
I mean, all right, let's go.
Great.
The way they're playing, Zach Bond, Kobe Dean, and that secondary, let's go.
And a guy like Chase Young's never played on a contender. You bring him here, his whole attitude.
Well,
he
he was
hasn't
on
been
the
a contender
49ers.
since Ohio State.
San Fran?
No, he was on the 49ers the year that they played the Eagles.
Yeah.
I would even take a Clowney.
I would love Clowney.
Yeah, I'll take that. A vet.
Dude, totally in on Clowney. Totally in on Clowney. They need to get an end. They need to get an end.
How many
bad.
snaps we got here?
I mean, and again,
come on, Howie Potter.
You get the end. You're legit. I mean, think about it. If you put the Lions up top, right? So the Lions right now are the best team. We know that. After that, what? The Eagles can't be 2. You got Green Bay.
Yeah, the Eagles would be 2,
right?
I think.
Right. You got Green Bay, and then you got who else? Minnesota, right? I mean, you saw Sunday night, Darnold. He still turned the ball over.
Yeah, he turned into a pumpkin at some point,
right?
Yeah.
You got. I mean, the Niners are going to get McCaffrey back, so you got to look at them.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucs will eventually get.
And I know. Listen, Evans. I know I'm ignoring Washington, but I still got to see it. Listen, I think they're good. I love the kid. I mean, Jay Daniels is terrific, but do I believe that they're the class of the NFC East? I don't.
The only way they are is they just got that magic touch this year,
That's it.
That's it.
I mean, I look at them and I go, all right, like they're not. I watched them against the Giants on Sunday, and the Giants are terrible. And I mean, they're good. Again, they're going to be really good at some point. But I still believe, and I try not to. I try to look at it objectively, and I think the Eagles are better.
I think so,
despite wearing that hoodie, which I shouldn't.
Why?
I don't know.
You're not a journalist right now, man.
I know.
I
feel guilty.
A couple of chums hanging out talking.
I feel guilty sometimes wearing the
we
hoodie.
Like to see you in the gear.
Every once in a while, but I was like, oh, it's a perfect day. I just grabbed it. I'm like, go Birds. I was feeling it. Like trade deadline.
Yeah.
Go Birds.
I mean, if you're here waving pom-poms, it's different. But you're critical.
I tried not to do that.
You're a 4 for 4. Come on.
I know.
You gotta rep the 4 for 4.
I know. I mean, I do everything but the gear usually, but whatever. Deadline. I was in a mood, and I went to when I went to a vote, I was in a line. Yeah. And then everybody, go Birds, go Birds.
There you go.
Yes, you know what I mean? Like I love that. I love the community feel, the communal feel of the Go Birds. Yeah. I love it. It just connects with people. I love connecting with people.
Because we're in a society right now where no one talks to anyone. And this is the one thing. You walk around and people say, go Birds.
Sports.
No one says good morning.
Dude,
no one says
sports. Yes. Sports saves lives, man.
You could be having a bad day. Someone says go Birds and you got a little smile on your face.
Yes, because you're connected.
Yes,
like that's what it's about.
Yeah. Community.
All right, lots to get to. Coming up, we visit with the columnists. Every week, we rotate between David Murphy and Mike Sealski from the Inquirer. We'll talk to Murph coming up, Brain, and then Baldy and Legs. It's leg day.
Oh, man. It hasn't been leg day in a while.
You got to dust off the leg day.
Oh, I got it. I got it ready.
All right, so we'll talk a lot of stuff to talk to Legs about. So we'll get into that. All right, boys. Let's talk about Empire
Today. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Started off talking about Empire today, and it's funny because I was with my buddy over the weekend, and he's just bought a home over Mount Airy, and he needs to do some remodeling. He needs to do some touches around the house. He's got that carpet that that 80s carpet. You don't even know the color of it. Is it purple? Is it blue? Is it yellow? We don't even know. He's looking for some hardwood floors. So of course, me. I was like, bro, I got you. You got to go to Empire Today, all right? Because you're going to shop at home convenience. Empire Today is going to find the right hardwood flooring for him, and he's going to get that quick and professional installation and a price match guaranteed, and who's going to beat that? Empire Today, that's right. Empire Today is the place to get new flooring. So, of course, listen, they're going to have competitors. These competitors are going to tell you, listen, we're going to get you something at a low price. But no, you don't want to fall for that. Empire Today is not going to do that to you because, listen, they're only going to put the best in your house the same way they would do for their own home. So that's why we love Empire Today. They have your back, guys. So right now, schedule a free in-home estimate. All of our listeners today can receive up to a $350 off discount. It's a pretty solid deal. All you got to do is head on over to empiretoday.com/PHLY. Use the promo code PHLY as well. Just keep in mind, restrictions do apply. See more details at the website I just mentioned. But ladies and gentlemen, do not wait anymore. That carpet needs to be changed, and you can change it today with our friends at Empire.
Today. Hey, while we're talking about community, there's no better way to do financial community involvement than joining a credit union where they treat you like family and friends instead of big bank shareholders and numbers on a spreadsheet. That's why our friends over at TrueMark Financial, I think they may even make you be a Eagles fan before they hire you at TrueMark Financial. They're there.
That's Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly's crazy, right? So when you join a TrueMark Financial credit unions like this, the profits come back to you. They don't go to the shareholders. They got better rates. They got lower fees. They got the apps, the websites, all that high-tech stuff that the other banks have. They're rooted right here in Fort Washington with over 24 branches in our area, and they serve our community and our people right here. Becoming a member of a credit union has a gazillion benefits over those big banks. The fees are way lower. The people are nicer. It's a total no-brainer. Head over to truemark.com/PHLY to learn more about where to find a branch near you. And that's truemark.com/PHLY, federally insured by the NCUA.
All right, buddy. We appreciate it. Time now as we get to visit with the columnists. Two great columnists for the Inquirer. And each week we rotate. Today, David Murphy joins us. Good morning, David. How are you say, my brother?
It's all good in the hood. What's going on?
Well, let's get started because we like to go around the 4-for-4 landscape. And it's trade deadline. So let's talk about the Birds. You had an interesting piece yesterday where you talked about Sirianni, and you had a good point, right? Because I was losing my mind watching him trying to manage that game. But they aren't the Jaguars, and the Jaguars are a poorly coached team, and you can see the difference there.
Yeah, man. For whatever reason, probably gambling related, I've watched a lot of this Jaguars team this year, and I've never seen anything like it. We saw it. Just in that game alone, the Zach Bond's interception that goes kind of oop-de-oop in and out of the guy's hands, and the Jahan Dotson catch. It's just like, it almost goes beyond poor coaching. Where I don't know what Doug Peterson can do, in that moment to prevent the ball doing what it does. But it and the point I made in that Nick Sirianni column was, I think all that. There's that marginal value that you create during the week, creating an atmosphere and an environment where, on game day, guys are just locked in and end up making those plays instead of kind of making the opposite of those plays, which is what the Jaguars have done all year. And I think, as maddening as Sirianni can be, the Eagles, when you watch this team, and I felt the same way about Jonathan Ganton's defense all those years, where they might not be the most talented team. They might be getting shredded, but they play fundamentally sound. They tackle. They don't do the things that some of these bad teams. The Bears are another one where if you just, if you watch the Bears, if you watch the Giants, if you watch the Jaguars, if you watch these bad teams, there's just something that's not there that is there with the Eagles. And I think that, coaching kind of creates that.
Yeah, I agree to an extent. I don't think Doug's a very good coach. I thought that it was a very, what happened here was, it was almost magic dust.
Right.
And I think they were due for it. How else do you explain a great coach like Andy Reid go all those years without winning, and then all of a sudden that happens, right? There's a degree of magic dust. I struggle with Sirianni because I do agree that there are things about this team that I like a lot. They do seem buttoned up. Now, will tell you, I think the coordinators, the professionalism from the coordinators coming in, you see it. You see it. I don't like the way Nick managed that game on Sunday.
Oh, I don't either.
Yeah.
I think the game management. I guess the point I'm trying to make is when you have coaching, we tend to focus on, you got your play calling, right, and you've got your in-game management. And you can argue that Sirianni definitely deserves negatives in both of those departments, but so much of coaching is game planning.
You're right. During the week, being buttoned up during the week, it's a great point.
And Kelsey has said this several times. Where during the week, I'm with you. I look at Sirianni and he's the opposite of, I want an adult in the room. There needs to be a certain level of professionalism with the team and the offense, especially last year when he was in charge, just looked kind of like a, horizontal high school, MAC college offense. All those are valid criticisms, but the fact is the guy's, he's 40-19 in 3+ seasons, or the last 3 regular seasons, whatever it is. And there's something to be said for that. And when the point more so is when you look around the NFL and you see a team like the Jaguars, you just have to be careful what you wish for when you want to run Sirianni out of town, because it gets a whole lot worse than what we've seen here.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. And then let's look at the Eagles from the macro standpoint in the NFC. You have the Lions, who clearly are the best team. But you can make the argument right now, sitting at 6-2, the way their offense has come together and the way their defense, especially the secondary with Mitchell and DeJean, they're every bit the second best team. And you want to lump, the Packers or the Niners or Washington, but they're right there in that mix and that behind the Lions.
Yeah, and I wrote that a couple of weeks ago. It was a question at the time. I said, and this might have been after the Bucs game, but who's better than the Eagles in the NFC that we've seen? And now I think a couple of weeks later, the question's kind of answered. There's clearly nobody. Like he said, they're clearly the second best team. And look, the NFL trade deadline is way more hype than substance, and just doesn't. The things that people want to happen just don't happen on a yearly basis. But if it were the case that there was this big move out there, the argument would be to go do it this year, because the window may never be wider than it is right now, given the lack of a scary team. All the respect in the world for the Lions, but any team with a quarterback, any team with Jared Goff at quarterback and Aiden Hutchinson gone for the season is not a scary team the way, the Niners were last year, the Chiefs are in the AFC. And I think, this might be the year,
Well, I like the Lions probably more than you do.
I love the Lions, but I'm just saying, what
scares me about them is they have 2 ridiculous backs, right? So when you have those 2 running backs, and you got St. Brown, and when they get Jameson Williams back, like their offense it's almost like geometry, right? When it comes to space on the field, like their offense is pretty nasty.
Sure, but it's the exact same offense that didn't get to the Super Bowl last year and almost lost to the Rams in the divisional round. So. At the end of the day, you're scared. The point is, you're scared of Patrick Mahomes. You're scared of a Niners defense. I just don't know that the Lions rise to that level where, they would clearly be my team. They're clearly my pick, but
I think they're scarier than the Niners were last year. That's just me. I look at their offense, and I think they're a scarier offense. I think they lost because of their defense.
Offense last year,
Yeah, but teams grow in stages, and I just think that this is their year. But again, to your point, and this is where we agree, look, if I'm Howie, I'm all in on Clowney. I go get Chase Young. I would have went and looked at Darius Smith, because if you add a defensive end, a legitimate pass rusher to that defense, all of a sudden that defense is a buttoned-up unit, right? Like the way Bald's playing, the way that Kobe Dean's playing. I love the kids, man. I love the secondary. I mean, that's a good defense.
Yeah, I mean, look, Cooper DeJean coming back is really, really, and that kid, he's been on my list for, I was disappointed that they drafted Quinyon Mitchell in the first round, because I wanted them to draft Cooper DeJean there, and then they turn around and get Cooper DeJean in the second round. So, it works out. I mean, the kid, look, when you can add that level of tackling ability in the slot, I mean, you're playing with 3 safeties, and you've got the edge kind of locked up there. You saw it several times throughout the game on Sunday against the Jaguars, where it's just another. There's no wonder why the run defense has been so much better, since he's been back.
Yeah, I mean, and look, Brian Thomas is really good from the Jaguars. Mm-hmm. He's LSU. He's a stud. Mitchell is a terrific outside corner, man. He's a blanket. And I'm with you on DeJean, man. Having those two guys, that's what excites me. And then offensively, dude, is there anybody better? Like, you've been in this town your whole life. You're a voice in this town. Of all the treasures, freaking Saquon Barkley. He is elite in every manner. He handles himself with dignity, humility. He's like, I talk to my kids about him all the time. Look at him. He's such a treasure.
Yeah, I mean, he breaks the mold. I thought I'm king of the kind of running backs are overvalued train, and I think the way the Eagles have handled the position years prior to this has been the smart way to do it. I mean, you win a Super Bowl with LeGarrette Blount and Jay Ajayi, but Saquon, I was all aboard with that move because he's just, there are a couple of rare running backs in this league, and it really might only be Saquon and McCaffrey, where they just bring another level that is more than worth the premium at the position.
Yeah,
and
Derrick Henry doing some good stuff in Baltimore.
you could say Derrick Henry too. He's kind of the perfect fit for that offense. But pass catching wise, I mean, Derrick Henry can make that catch that Saquon Barkley made in the end zone. Frankly, he can't jump over a defender backwards either. I mean,
that
Saquon
was unbelievable. How about it, Murph? Like, that's unbelievable.
And that's my whole point. I mean, as good as Derrick Henry is, like Saquon is just on another level from that. He brings a level. I mean, he's an AJ Brown of running backs. Where he really does get you way more than is out there on the field. And the Eagles' offensive line gives you plenty to begin with.
Yeah, that line is. I mean, come on. I mean, that's. Here's the thing, and God love Jalen. He is living a quarterback's dream. When you get to play behind that line with that back and those receivers.
Yeah, I mean that's that's the argument. Look, it's Sirianni's detractors will say it's kind of a dummy-proof team, and they're really surviving on.
Well, VG just said it, Nick-proof.
Right.
We're a
and I mean,
Nick.
Maybe there's something to that, and we saw. The crazy thing is, as good as Saquon is, AJ Brown is the clear MVP of this team. I mean, we saw it when he went out, and hopefully he's back because, I mean, having that there, I mean, being able to like have your first thought be throw it to AJ if 9 times out of 10, and then if not, look for Devontae to make a play, and then if not, dump it off to Saquon or run. I mean, it's a great offense, and really, I think it's credit to Kellen Moore and Sirianni for kind of, getting back to really the offense they were running 2 years ago or 3 years ago when Jalen first broke into the league. Just keep it simple and rely on your talent and your offensive line. And, I think it's a formula that can take them a long way, especially given the schedule that's coming up.
All right. Now I want to throw it at you guys. All right. Because each week when we visit with you and then Mike, I want to know what's on your front lobe. So, like, what are you feeling? So, give me 2 stories that are on your front lobe.
Man, my front lobe is struggling this morning.
He's
we got a big day today. The story that's on my front lobe with the Eagles or with sports in general.
Listen, you're a columnist, man. I want to,
right.
I don't want to dominate.
Look, it's funny because I mean the Eagles are kind of like you just kind of have to see it play out. The thing I'm probably most interested in right now is seeing what the Phillies do this offseason. I was hoping
you'd say that. I'll be honest with you. I was because I'm curious as all get out because Middleton, right? He just took on some more money. He's looking for more ammo. They're not going to be quiet.
They're not, but I just don't see it. I don't see a scenario in which they can really add, even if they want to add, make a big splash. I just don't see it. I mean, the Mets have so much payroll space that Soto's going either, unless he wants to be back on the West Coast, which doesn't help the Phillies, either. He's going to be in New York. And I mean, he just makes so much sense for that Mets lineup that and they've got. I mean, look, this was like their year where they were going to take their medicine, which is kind of ironic that they had this run. I mean, they've got something like, put it this way, they could sign Soto for $50 million a year. They could re-sign Alonso for 25. They could sign Corbin Burns for 30, and they would still not have the amount of payroll that the Phillies already have going into the offseason. That's how much that's just. I don't see a scenario in which the Phillies can, even if they want to jack up their payroll, I don't see how they can.
Well, how I kind of look at it is, if you're going to jack up your payroll, and the reason why I brought up the money situation and Middleton and also adding dollars is that you do it through trade, right? Like you look at a guy that has a bloated salary and you know that you can afford it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why it's like, it's really kind of a fascinating, off season for them, maybe the most fascinating, because the past few, it was kind of obvious what they were going to do: re-sign Wheeler, re-sign Nola,
right?
Trey Turner make a big play a couple of years ago, et cetera, et cetera. This year, there's a lot of different ways that they can go. I mean, the first big question is, are they committed to Alec Bohm? Does it make sense to move him, because he's the guy, obviously, I think, that has the most value there. There's a ton of teams around the league that would love to have him at third base. And if you wanted to make a move, that would be, that's one variable. Brandon Marsh, what's his trade value? I think, they would love to, swap out one of those corner outfielders. But the question is, how much value does any one of them have? And I think from there, are they interested in a number 5 starter? Would they make a trade, for that? I don't think so. I think that with Painter coming up, I think they're going to try to save some money there. But yeah, there's just a million different ways that they can go.
I know. And it's funny, you bring up the corner outfielder and you look at Castellanos and makes money. He had a really good year, really, really strong year. But is he going to do better than that? Like, that's kind of what you need to figure out. But again, if you move him, what are you really getting?
Well, that's the thing.
Really,
Jorge Soler just got traded for, essentially a number 6 starter, and he's making, I think, half the money that Castellanos is. So I just don't see, I really don't see a scenario where you're going to trade him and get anything that makes you, equivalent.
Exactly.
Or better, which is why Marsh and Bohm are the two big swing pieces. That's where your 2 openings are, where you can improve potentially, because you have guys who are either, fungible or have value on the trade market. So that'll be, those are the two areas to watch, and I'm fascinated to see how it plays out.
We're seeing reports that they're actually considering moving on from Bohm, David. Do you think? He makes like no money in the world of baseball. Do you actually think that's something they're considering, or only in like packaging him out for a trade for a big bats like you guys were talking about?
I think that there's 2 scenarios. You can have I think one scenario is just kind of a 1-for-1. I threw this one out there the other day. The Reds have a guy named Jonathan India who's kind of at a similar juncture. I don't know. He came up as a third baseman. He's only played second base in the majors. I don't know if Stott has the arm for third base. I don't know if Trey Turner, can or would play third base. But, assuming, one of those 3 could potentially play third base, a Bohm for, India swap would make a ton of sense for both teams potentially. So like that's your one area. Then your other area is you trade Bohm for kind of the talent that facilitates another move. A guy named Brendan Donovan at the Cardinals is a guy who I would target if I was the Phillies. I don't know that they would want to trade him. He's only 27, and
I know.
But that's the kind of move you trade Bohm. And then look, the problem is Bohm's he's a really good hitter. If you look at his numbers and you kind of compare, like take Alex Bregman.
Dude, he's got great play coverage. Like, I know he struggled in playoffs and all, but he's a guy that always had plate discipline. He had great play coverage. I just assume get an outfielder.
Yeah, and the outfield, the trouble is DH and first base, they have locked up, which are the two easiest positions to fill. Like Christian Gonzalez would be an ideal guy for this lineup, but you got, assuming Harper's not going back to the corner outfield, and Schwarber can't play left field, that's kind of off the board. I think Anthony Santander would be an interesting one for this team. I mean, he's kind of like I mean, you look at his numbers and the top line numbers kind of tell you he's the same thing that they already have. A lot of swing and miss and aggression and home run hitting. But look, the Phillies did not lose because they didn't lose because they didn't get enough base hits. They lost because they didn't get enough home runs. I mean, and Santander putting him in there in the middle of that kind of lefty stack top of the order, I think would make a lot of sense. Now the question is, only reason why I think he might be a possibility is because
they got a million outfielders.
Yeah, and Hernandez last year had to settle for like a 1 year, $20 million contract. So yeah, I think that's that. I think on the free agent market there are some outfield options.
Yeah, no, Baltimore's got a million outfielders. Yeah. So Calzer, they got a ton of them. Yeah. And Santander goes, you switch hitter.
Love the switch hitting.
Right? Like he's an athlete. Like it's not like he's a pylon. He can move. I love that.
You have to worry, though. He's coming off his one contract year.
I know.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, it's all a matter of what what kind of value. I mean, you don't want to sign him necessarily to the Castellanos contract, but if you can get him, if he goes for less than if he's like a $20 million a year guy, then go for it.
Dave, you think Schwarber comes into this year without an extension?
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, extensions just like there just aren't a ton of teams that give out extensions, to a guy in Schwarber's. Now Middleton, look, he's he operates a little differently than other owners, but I'm assuming Schwarber's just going to come in here, on the last year of his deal and go for it. I don't know what the incentive is for the Phillies to sign him to an extension. Put it that way. I'm sure he'd love to have a couple extra years tacked on, but. I think it would make most sense for the Phillies just to let it play out.
You can't sign him to an extension.
2 years?
No. I'm sorry, you can't do that. There's no need to. David's right. Like you're the Phillies, you don't need to do that. That's just what it is. So what do you got going on this week, buddy? What's your next assignment?
Well, I'm going to vote, and then after that, I'm going to. I'm going to wait and see what the Eagles do at the trade deadline. I'm going to write off that. And then I'm going to watch the Sixers team and see what happens because they
look a lot. Card. Just adding Paul George. I don't know if you watched the game last night, but when you add Paul George, you just see they're different, right? Like, and now you can extrapolate when you get Embiid back. They're going to be good. Yabusele can play a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That's kind of the irony of how this whole season has started. The cast that they have managed to assemble around Paul. I mean, obviously George and Embiid were the big story, but they put together a really good rotation, kind of that complements those two guys, and they're going to be very, very good if those two get on the court together. And like you said, even if just one of them is on the court together with that rotation, they're a competitive team. It's just, when are they going to be on the court together? It just feels like how it's going to end up playing out, and it's going to be like this all year, and it's going to be maddening. But you just hope they're not like that Clippers team that never actually played together.
No, dude, I feel you. It's
like that.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
That team that I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, but when they actually played together, that Clippers team, they were one of the best teams in the league. They just never played together, and it just never worked. So I think that's I'm very anxious to see this team play together, but you just have that dark cloud hanging over the thing.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I do. It's a constant worry. My brother, always great visiting with you. So good luck. Enjoy your voting and some beers. All right.
Yeah. Well, there'll be plenty.
Always great, buddy. Thanks. David Murphy. Love David. Terrific.
Now, it reminds me of a young you. Like
he's a very good writer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, brain.
Red, the brain finder.
The ambassador for the Bet Park Sportsbook Online Casino app, Brad Feinberg, the brain. Hello, brain. Great sports night last night.
He got a BMW.
Yeah, well, first of all, again, it's amazing. The Kansas, what's that? What are you laughing at?
Did you get a BMW? Would you get a hat with a free tune-up or oil change? You wear a BMW hat?
They gave me the hat. Victoria, the queen, she negotiated free hats as part of the car.
I need the queen to be my agent. Can you tell her to follow me on Instagram?
She gets the free hat. She thinks she gets the lottery. I'm like, it costs like an arm and a leg and another arm for these hats. They're not free, Victoria. Trust me.
We know Brain is a Beaver guy.
She's proud for the free hats.
The greatest. VG analyzes everything, your hat, your backdrop, whatever's going on. VG.
Smart man.
Yeah.
He's a John Madden
Smart
nonsense.
Just observant. I'm dumb, but observant.
He's perceptive. I like it.
So, great sports night last night. And, man, I was funny. I was watching the Chiefs last night and kind of played out the way we thought it would be, like a higher scoring game.
I thought it'd be a close game. But
Yeah.
let me ask you a question, Anthony. End of the game. Two things like really like upset me because I can't help it. Just
Do you want to go for
as I
two?
always say, I can't call a play to save my life in the NFL. But the one thing I can do is manage. At least in my opinion, manage a game in terms of what should or shouldn't be done. They call a timeout, and I didn't bite them in the you know what, but they call a timeout with 33 seconds to go when they are first and goal at the 1 yard line. Why would you do that? You have plenty of times to get forward plays off. The last thing I'd want is Mahomes to have time. We've seen him do it too many times to count. And then you want to go to a coin toss versus Mayfield. Again, I give Mayfield a lot of credit. I don't remember a guy who was that low at the time. Maybe Rich Gannon back in the day, who was sort of that low, who's become that respectable.
Dude,
he's really
good.
turned his career around.
Listen, he's good.
He's good.
He's really good. Here's the only
He's
issue.
probably just as good as Jalen Hurts. No one would ever admit it.
I know. He's really good. Listen, he was good at Oklahoma. It's all about where you're at.
You always talk about coaching, Anthony.
You have certain guys that are elite no matter what, right? But it matters where you are and who your OC is and what your offensive line is. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. But I will say this. I'm with you on the timeout was bad. And even Aikman said at the time, you can't give Mahomes extra moments.
They got away with it.
Yeah. Now, as far as going for two, if you don't have a play, now they're down. It's one thing if you have Mike Evans.
Everyone has a play, Anthony. Stop it. Come on. Every coach. Come on. Let's be honest.
I disagree with you. I do.
Really?
If you have Mike Evans, all right, it's not that easy to go. First of all, that defense is really good. And,
Great.
The way you were playing, I don't have a problem with it. I don't think it's I think it's a judgment. And if Bowles thought that he wasn't confident in a 2-point play, then I got no problem with it.
Again, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I would think you have one play that you're like, okay, I'm going to save this literally for this spot.
Dude, you're down both your receivers. You got no Evans and no Godwin.
First of all, there's no Evans, no Godwin. By the way, but there's receivers were getting wide open at the end of that drive.
It's the first game where you really have you're just instituting all these new faces, young players in your offense. I'm just saying there's a flip side to it.
You could also have
we talked about with Sirianni with managing the game. There was no flip side, but there was a flip side. I just
think when you're relying on how many times it seems like Mahomes wins every overtime. He gets the ball, he ends the game. It's unbelievable. They always that's what he does. That's who he is. That's why he is, even when he's having a quote unquote bad Mahomes year, that's why he's Patrick Mahomes. I would not want to rely. I would not want to rely upon a coin flip where if I lose that coin flip, I'll put it this way. They were, Anthony, on live betting, they were like when they lost a coin flip, they were like a -250 underdog. I don't need that. I think they just had a much better chance if they go for 2, and I would take my chances with the guy who's been their best player is Mayfield. I'd rather have the ball in his hands than the ball in a referee's hands for a coin flip. Just my opinion.
I mean, kissing up the God on one play. If again, there is a flip side to it. You got to have a play,
right? And if they don't have a play,
that Chiefs defense is freaking good.
They're great, Anthony. Look, they've been great. Forget good. They've been probably. I'm thinking they've probably been the best defense in the NFL. Okay, you're right there. I'm not 1, maybe 2. But the point being, no, they've been great. But it's a one play from the 2-yard line. I would hope that
isn't that a coin flip? I mean, basically, it's a coin flip.
Well, here's the difference. Now I'm going to tell you the difference. I'm glad you said that. Yes, it is, and I'll give you that. But here's the thing, and I want you to be objective here, right? Kansas City gets the ball. What are you thinking? You're probably thinking it's going to be really hard for Tampa Bay to stop them. Tampa Bay gets the ball. I still think it. Then I think it is a coin flip. If Tampa Bay wins the coin flip, I think the game's 50-50. If Kansas City wins the coin flip, I think they're a 2.5 to 1 underdog. That to me is the difference.
Yeah, well,
I don't think they have some big edge. If they get the ball,
I can't kill them for that. I can't. Like you know your team, you know what you have. Like it's one thing if I got Evans in my back pocket and I know I got that fade. You know, I think I would gamble on throwing it up to Evans and winning and getting the 2-point conversion than I would, making a play for.
I hear you. Look, it was an entertaining game, but you got to listen. It's amazing, Kansas City, Anthony. I mean, I don't think has there ever been a team that they did it actually. They've done this in the Andy Reid era. I think it was like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. They won like 9 straight games by 1 score or less. This team, it's just unbelievable.
They're winners. They're winners. They're winners. And, it's funny. Like, I love Andy, right? Because at halftime, he's talking to Lisa Salters. He goes, yeah, we're going to do some fun stuff in the second half, Lisa. Like, he's just happy. I love that guy. I got to tell you, I know everybody's tired of him and the Chiefs.
No, he's terrific. He's terrific.
But I just go, I appreciate them. We all hate dynasties because unless they're our team. But as far as
I like the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs.
Yeah.
No, actually, I like Mahomes is a likable guy.
I love Mahomes.
I think Andy Reid's the most likable guy. I like Spags because I like the Chiefs. I actually have very positive feelings for Chiefs. They're not a team. Not only do I not dislike them, I actually like them. So they're not a hateable group. There's
going to be a test because I think Baltimore is so ridiculous right now.
Yeah, they're tough.
I don't know how they get beat. I don't know how Baltimore gets beat, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Baltimore again with that offense, they're just phenomenal. Here's how they can get beat. I'll answer the question. They defensively are still extremely vulnerable, and you just if you have a pass rush that can stay in their lanes and a good solid run, like listen, you know who could beat them? Kansas City.
I know.
Because Kansas City has the defense. They can actually slow them down. And look, it'll be a close game. We've seen them. All these games are close when these teams play. And I think Buffalo would have a chance as well, even though Buffalo got smoked that first game. But, look, Baltimore is a terrific team for sure. But the AFC, to me, that's why the NFC, I think, is far worse. I think the AFC, the competition at the top, guys, is much more stark and a lot more difficult than it is in the NFC. The NFC, I don't see those kind of competition. Detroit's obviously at the top of that pecking order, and you want to say maybe Philly, maybe Minnesota, maybe Green Bay, maybe Washington. I don't think any of those teams are in the same stratosphere as Baltimore, as Buffalo, as Kansas City. At least in my opinion, I don't think any of those teams are those teams.
Yeah, I agree. What did you glean from college hoops last night? Gonzaga.
Well, no, I gotta say something. I did not
did you
know.
Watch it?
No, I did watch some of it. I had forgotten the game was in Gonzaga. Because I had the teams listed as even. I thought the line should be 3.5. I forgot the game was at Gonzaga. That's why it was. I bet Baylor. I lost. Look, Gonzaga played a great game. I had both teams ranked. I think I had like Baylor 6 in my rankings, and I'm sorry, Gonzaga 6 and Baylor 8. So, but I was very disappointed in just Baylor. Talk about laying an egg, Anthony. They laid. That wasn't even competitive. That wasn't even competitive. They showed absolutely nothing. Look, it's one game of college basketball. I get it. But, a good start for Gonzaga. There's going to be some good teams this year in college basketball, Anthony. and I'll give you some quick bets I made at long odds. I took Iowa State at 40-1. I think they're going to be good. I took Kansas at 20-1. They get everyone back. They're going to be really good. Duke's obviously going to be good with Flag. I mean, they're going to be tough. Auburn I think Auburn's actually a team that actually is going to be really good. Alabama is going to be great. I think this year in college
basketball is good.
Ooh, Bama put like
Bama's
110
good.
last night.
They play up tempo. They just
Yeah.
run you.
Got a good price on them at 25, but it's going to be this is a really strong college basketball year. North Carolina is solid. This is, I think, is going to be a great college basketball season.
I said that to VG to start the show. We were talking about last night. I go, this morning, I said, I think college basketball has a resurgence.
Arrow up.
Yeah.
Arrow up. It's funny, and I think it's like a really strong year. Gonzaga's going to be really good too. I think this is the year we finally see, despite having a great coach, a great culture. I know they're ranked high, but I don't see UConn doing it this year. But again, obviously Hurley's just been a god there, so I don't know. But I think this is the year we finally see UConn. Maybe Sweet 16, but I don't see them as.
I'm with you. Anything tonight? Any leans?
There's really nothing. I mean, it's election day or whatnot. There was a handful of college basketball games. Nothing that caught my fancy. Now, VG, I know you could find a bet anywhere. You could find a bet anywhere.
Trash Man is looking at. We're looking at Miami, Ohio tonight. Ball State. Miami, Ohio, minus 11.5 at Ball State tonight.
He's the best. I mean,
I like it. Miami, Ohio.
Line came out at, I think, minus 10. It's up to 11.5.
Red Hawks. Like it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's look, he's the best. He finds games even on election day when there's like a 2-card slate. He'll find a way to do it. That's why
they stink. I can smell them. They just stink.
By the way, I will tell you the best bet I made of the year.
I'm the trash man.
I'll let you go on this note. If it loses, and I'm not a political person, so this is not who I want. I'm just thinking it's a comment. So I know I've learned better not to talk politics with people. Okay, but this is free money. Money was on the street. I'm a trash man too. I picked it up. Who will win the popular vote? Kamala Harris. Not saying she's going to be president. She's going to win the popular vote. In my opinion, that was free money. Have a large wager on that one.
What was the line?
I laid $1.60. It's up to minus 350.
Wow.
She's winning the popular vote. I'm not saying who's winning the election. I'm not saying who I won. I'm just saying she's going to win the popular vote. And you can come back and make fun of me. You can laugh at me.
It's the brain.
Listen, free money. Listen, that's why you do it for a living. Good stuff, Brain.
I never say this. This was like Embiid under 32 points. Can't lose bet.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. That's great stuff. The Brain checking in, the ambassador for the Bet Park Sportsbook Online Casino. Let's talk about it. The Bet Park Sportsbook Online Casino app. All that stuff that we just talked about, like all the college basketball, the futures. You got Flyers tonight. They're a big dog. Any love on the Flyers against the Canes, Carolina?
Puck line is.
All right, because the Flyers, you go tonight. Live guys in Carolina.
Nah,
yeah, I hear you.
I can't even do the puck line.
I hear you, but check it out. Listen, the Bet Parks app has it all. Don't forget all the football that you like to match in, all that stuff, and make your downtime fun time. So when you're watching the game, there's always another chance to win by playing all your favorite casino games. You got live dealer blackjack, roulette, craps, baccarat, like my man over here. He loves it. You got to check it out. It's a great place. The only app I'll ever recommend, the Bet Parks Sportsbook Online Casino app. In fact, new customers, if you're down the first 24 hours, you get up to $1,000 casino bonus back. You got to be in PA, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, PA, New Jersey, Maryland, Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. You got to be 21. That's how it works. All right. Now, it's engagement season. So if you met that special someone, let's talk about Golden Nugget Jewelers. That's where Philly gets engaged. Golden Nugget Jewelers is the official jeweler of engagement season. It's just like basketball season or football season. It's engagement season. It runs, through Halloween, all through the fall, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, which is like the Super Bowl. So if you met that somebody, you got to go see my guy, Yaron, all right? He's on 8th and Chestnut, in the heart of Jewelers Row, Center City. You got to check him out. You're going to love him. He's going to take great care of you. And then it's up to you when you pop the question, when you're feeling it, what you're going to do. And by the way, you're always going to need a jeweler. I got news for you, all right? You're going to get married. There's going to be anniversaries. There's going to be birthdays, all kinds of occasions. You got to get a jeweler. Golden Nugget Jewelers. That's your spot. Your own. All right, tell them I sent you. GoldenNuggetJewelers.com, where Philly gets engaged.
Because you want a little breaking news real quick?
What do we got? Trade?
We do have a trade. We also have some injury updates. So it looks like Jerry Jones went on a local Dallas radio station, and he said that Dak Prescott will be placed on IR, which means he'll be missed for minimum 4 games. And then they went out and traded for Panthers wide receiver Jonathan Mingo. The Cowboys get Jonathan Mingo in the 7th-round pick, and the Panthers get a 4th-round pick.
Who?
Jonathan Mingo.
No. They get Mingo. It's CD Lamb. Did he say anything about CD Lamb?
He did not. I don't have anything about CD Lamb.
All right. Interesting.
Mingos.
All right.
That trade has not affected the line. Eagles still 7.5.
All right.
Super Bowl bound now.
That's right. I can't wait to hear what Baldy has to say about that. Our 10 o'clock hour brought to you by Rite Aid. Neighborhood Pharmacy, RiteAid.com. Get all your flu shots, your scripts, anything you need. Last minute snacks, RiteAid.com. What's the matter?
Some troll just hopped in the chat. His name is Titletown Boston, and they just say, "Hey Philly, you'll never be Boston. Worst fans in sports."
Titletown. Bleep you, Boston.
Boo.
All right. Time now for the legend, Baldy.
Baldy. Oh, let's talk some football. Baldy. Oh, he likes pizza and football. Oh, Baldy.
There he is, the preeminent voice when it comes to the sport we love. The only man that I'll listen to. He's the great Baldy. Good morning, my brother.
Good morning, cuz. Good morning. It's a fine one, it is. Trade deadline, I know there's like an election or something going on. But, in the football world, we're just kind of tracking some of these trades and some of this movement right now.
That's right. So Zadarius Smith goes to the Lions, which I think it's a great move for them. How does that affect the balance of power? And if you're the Eagles, are you looking at Clowney? Are you looking at Chase Young?
I would look at Clowney in a second. I love Clowney. He's lost in Carolina right now. He had a great game last week. He was part of the number 1 defense in football last year in Baltimore. He had his best season, had 9.5 sacks, but it's more than just sacks for him. It's just the way that he plays the game. He's got speed on the field. You had length on the field. You had a big-time attitude in the locker room from a good standpoint. I mean, just a good guy, serious about the game. Never been a great pass rusher, but like the things that he could do on the field are kind of hard to measure sometimes. If I would pick up the phone and call Dan Morgan in Charlotte in a heartbeat and see just what it would take to basically fleece him from the Carolina Panthers. But look, Zadarius going to Detroit makes sense. They lost Hutch. They lost a lot. They lost Brian Branch last week during the game. They lose a lot with those 2 players. Defensively, look, they did a good job up in Green Bay last week, but the week before against Tennessee, they gave up over 400 yards of offense. They know that when you get to the postseason, the quarterback play is going to be good. You got to affect the quarterback. So it makes sense. Zadarius is a great guy. He's a legit pass rusher.
How long is Branch out for? I didn't see because that's
I don't know. Like he went out during the game. This guy Joseph came in for him. Kirby Joseph, the other Joseph, ended up playing his spot. Played the strong safety. The other guy, Brandon Joseph, he went to the free safety. Ended up basically winning the game for him. Kirby playing Brian's spot. Like right after he went out, he intercepted Jordan Love for a pick 6. Changed the whole game.
He's so good, man. Brian Branch, I love that kid. I got to bring this up to you because last night I'm watching the game and Mahomes is the great. He's just the greatest, man.
Yeah.
And he's got such the way he handles himself. I mean, I just love that dude, man. I watched how buttoned up the Chiefs are. They're just winners.
Yeah. No, look, I mean, he made a throw last night to DeAndre Hopkins that I don't know. First of all, I mean, right now, and that's Antoine Winfield Jr., like in the free safety position. He's waiting just to, like, take home a little prize, and everybody's on Mahomes, 9 touchdown interceptions, all this stuff. I mean, the guy plays with no fear. He took a shot right to the chest by Kalijah Kancey, delivered the ball. Hop went up and did what Hop did. I mean, they're set to three-peat now. There's nothing they can't do. Hopkins, I mean, in the last 2 weeks, Kelsey's got 28 targets. He's got 20 catches, 190 yards. They're calling plays for him right now. And now they got Hop. So you got 2 6'5" receivers for Mahomes to throw the ball up to in any situation. And he just trusts that they're going to come down with it. But just the way that he plays the game, nothing phases him. He's hopping on one leg after, it throws a touchdown pass at the end of the first half. Nobody knows what his status is. I don't even see a limp on him in the second half. It just goes away somehow.
I know. And the way he pulled, it was non-contact, right? Because he's trying to keep from crossing the line of scrimmage to make the throw, and you see him pull up, and he's hopping. I was like, oh, no. Because, you never want to see any kind of injury, especially that guy. And then the next thing you know, he's fine. Like, it's unbelievable how that worked. It's just like the Super Bowl.
But, I mean, it's just, the game-winning drive in overtime. I mean, it's just, it was 10 plays, 70 yards. It looked like just a routine drive. I mean, no negative plays, excellent decisions. Everybody does their job. In the second half last night, they went to a power run game with Kareem Hunt. He ran it 20 times for 90 yards and the game-winning touchdown. 4th and 1 at midfield, they convert. 3rd and 1 at the 2-yard line, they game-winning touchdown. They're one of those teams that can run it when they need to run it. I know we're going to probably get to this, but Andy Reid does not do a lot of nonsense. Like when they score touchdowns, they kick extra points. When they're in Harrison Butker's range, they kick field goals. I mean, they just don't chase points.
They don't chase points. Yeah. And it's funny because all day yesterday, I'm making the argument because it drove me nuts, and we'll talk about it in a second, but Harbaugh doesn't chase, either of them chase points, right? Like there's a reason why those people win because you kick field goals, you play you're not trying to reinvent the game. It's not a Madden character-driven game. It's real people.
You're right. But, as an offensive player, if you are driving the field, you're at the 30-yard line, and your kicker, it's a chip shot, and you go for it on 4th down, you don't make it, you come off the field, you feel defeated. You at least kick the field goal, you always come off, we got points. It was a good drive. Even when like the one play, I'm listening, Nick, I never do, but the one that made no sense is when they went up 16-0 and he went for 2. Like whether you're up 17 or 18, it makes no difference. You're still got a 3-score lead on a team that had done nothing. So that one I didn't make. Just go kick the extra point, go up 17-0. You're up 3 scores. So it made no sense to go for it. And then in Jacksonville's mind, Doug Peterson's mind was like, okay, we're only down 16. It's just 2 scores. That's how they're thinking. So I don't know. That one really made no sense.
And I was arguing with people yesterday. People were going, well, listen, anytime there's a penalty, I'm at the 1-yard line, I'm going for it. Well, if the tush push isn't working, right, or you don't have confidence in it, why? Why?
You better re-examine that because honestly, look, Cam Jurgens is a really good player, but he can't get low the way Kelsey can.
Right.
You can see how high he's playing on that play, and now teams are getting underneath him.
Yeah.
And they stopped it. They had a couple little trick options off it, but I think they were 0 for 4 or 1 for 5 the other day on that play. It has not been as automatic as it had been with Kelsey.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, when you're up 6, kick the field goal to go up 2 scores. in the fourth quarter. They got away with it because they scored a touchdown. But, like, it's incorrect. Like, you're not supposed to do that. Like, and stuff like that will bite you. You're playing the Lions, or if you're playing, the Niners or whoever.
Well, I mean, look, look, Dan Campbell came under a lot of heat last year. I mean, they should have easily lost the playoff game last year. But they're going for it on fourth down instead of kicking field goals. If they had done that, they would have won the game.
Yeah.
And it came back to bite them. So you can talk about being aggressive all you want. Look, Doug Peterson, the Super Bowl game. To me, if you run the Philly special at the 2, it's supposed to be from the 1, but you call it, it's the Super Bowl. There is no tomorrow. It's like you go for the win. In that spot at the end of the half, that made a lot of sense to me. And obviously it worked and it was a difference in the game. But, we're talking about midseason right here. Just stack wins and stop making it come down to the last play. Like, I mean, that could have easily been a loss the other day. I mean, what Trevor did on 1st and 10 and trying to throw it to Dearness, Johnson made no sense at all.
No.
He didn't win the route. It's only first down. You're in, like, the Eagles are on their heels. Like, if that's not the play that, if the wheel route to Dearness against N'Kobe is the route, that's the route. But, like, just throw that one away. Go to second down. Like, that's a hard one to live with if you're
first down, man. Oh, that makes it that's torturous. All right, so now let's look at them, though, because you're 6-2. You've won 4 in a row. Your offense, I mean, Barkley, I saw what you did with Barkley and the backwards leap. It was just great. I mean, I know your eyes are lighting up like saucers when you see a play like that.
No, you just don't see plays like that. So, immediately it's like looking, into a kaleidoscope. Like, you don't know what you're seeing until you see it. You're like, wait a second, this thing we've never seen this before. Did he really go backwards? And then you just look at the replay in the radio booth, and you're like, what made him do that? And how did he have that instinct? But it's just everything right now. I mean, he had 30 touches. Like, this guy, if he keeps getting fed like this, he's going to win the rushing title. He's going to get over 1,800 yards. And just talking to Lane Johnson after the game, I mean, their whole game up front and Mackay back in there, they've never had a guard that powerful. Brooks was a great player. He didn't have the size of Mackay. I mean, what they did to that defensive front in Jacksonville, I mean, they're just running and hitting right now. It's not real hard. Honestly, you can run the same 4 runs like Kansas City does right now over and over again, and you're not going to stop Landon Dickerson and Lane and Mackay, and Fred Johnson's playing really well, but Malata's itching to get back real soon, probably another week. But, this is a powerful group. Like, just let them, and then what Saquon can do with that, and if you add in, what Jalen could do in the run game, I mean, they could be unstoppable right now.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. So now it's supposed to be Cowboys week, which is always, a fun week in Philadelphia. And it is, except you look down there, they're a complete and utter mess, Baldy.
Well, look, in the offseason, when they did not participate in free agency, and here comes Saquon, here comes Zach Bond, all these guys that are making a difference on this team right now. Here comes, all the additions that they made. And Dallas didn't do anything. They signed a long snapper and Eric Kendricks. And then, they re-signed Ezekiel and Dalvin Cook. Like, there's nothing worse than taking aging old running backs and putting them into your lineup. It never works. Never. So, you're criticizing the roster, especially in the arms race right now. We'll see some things just like, Kansas City has gone out and gotten DeAndre Hopkins. They've gone out and gotten players right now to, they went out and traded for Josh Uche, another pass rusher. It's the arms race. And you got to keep up. And Dallas decided not to do it. And everybody criticized Jerry Jones. And we knew the roster wasn't explosive and dynamic. And when you lose Micah Parsons like they've lost the last week, they lose their best player and a guy that can change any game. Now, he'll be back this week. But, they look like a bad football team right now.
Yeah, what does Cooper Rush do? I mean,
what does Jonathan Mingo do?
Yeah, they traded for Mingo. Did you see that, Baldy?
I heard you say that. I mean, the guy, he doesn't really know how to run a route. He's a big guy. These Mississippi wide receivers, there's a bunch of them, obviously DK Metcalf.
They're all basketball players.
Well, I mean, he's a big guy, but he's not. He can't run the route tree. Like I don't know. Like he's a bigger receiver. Maybe that helps a
Yeah.
little bit. They got all these guys: Jalen Brooks, Jalen Tolbert. They're just guys, There's a CD and everybody else over there.
They gave up more than the Chiefs gave up for Hopkins, 4th rounder.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wild.
a 4th rounder. I mean,
Mingo.
That's a lot for him.
that's unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah.
think about
They got a
that.
5th for Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, Jerry is never going to admit this. He's Jerry Jones. He's 82 years old. He's not a good general manager right now. They have drafted pretty well in the past, but this roster of what he has right now is not very talented. And teams that want to run the ball against him, run the ball against him. Now, I haven't really. I looked at the last week's game. They didn't have to run a lot against them to win. But honestly, but Bijan had a good game.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But he actually had a great game. But in the 4 losses before, you could go to a Kamara, you could go to Henry. You look at these teams that just pounded them. They had no ability to stop it. And now here comes Saquon with this offensive line. So, I mean, I don't know if they can slow the Eagles' run game down right now.
So let's talk about their defense, because I got to tell you, I love the way that defense has come together, and it really, those 2 kids in the secondary make such a difference. I mean, you're looking at it, you're analyzing it. When you see Cooper and you see Kenyon, what they're doing and how they made that secondary legitimate.
Well, two weeks in a row now, Cooper has made a 4th down stop. Okay, he made it against Jamar Chase. He made it last week against Jacksonville. And it's just, I mean, he's a heads up. First of all, he plays with a great deal of awareness. Where he's at on the field, what's his assignment. He's an excellent tackler. We knew this coming out of Iowa. Like, he's not going to miss tackles. He tackles like a linebacker. But he's got good size. And, he tackles the right way. Like, his head's up, he wraps up, and they go down. 2 weeks in a row, 4th down stops. That's like a takeaway. And then, honestly, when you look at the corner right now and you look at Quinion, they don't even challenge him. Honestly, I thought Brian Thomas Jr. would go over there last week. I thought they would challenge him. They didn't even challenge him. Like, he got very little action last week. But what we saw at Toledo is what you see in the NFL. Like, his break on the ball is elite. And his positioning is I don't know how many penalties he has. I bet he doesn't have 3 penalties all year. Like, he plays the game with his feet and his eyes the way you're supposed to. And so he doesn't get his hands on guys. And, he does it the right way. And then the 2 linebackers, Zach Bond and Nakobe, we haven't seen linebacker play like this in years. It's very, very good right now.
Well, and you know about Bond, right? But what's been the key to Nakobe, right?
Here's the thing. Even Bond, because he was never an off-the-ball inside linebacker in New Orleans. He was an outside pass rusher that barely got on the field. But the good thing about any Wisconsin linebacker up until last year, they all got cross-trained. They all played off the ball. Nick Herbig, you look at Leo Chenal, you look at all these Andrew Van Ginkel, all these guys, TJ, all these guys played off the ball inside. They played outside. They rushed the passer from both places. And so Zach Bond, he's been trained to play this. And now the way that they play zone, the way that when they do blitz and they do go to man, the way they split the responsibilities right now, I mean, they're both playing the game really fast. And they're not out of position the way the last 2 years guys were constantly out of position.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. They're not, and I'm looking at Bond. Is that Fangio seeing that? I mean, he's done a really good job.
Well, you think about it. They brought in Devin White. You could tell that he never liked him. He just didn't have the instincts that he was looking for. But his first job in the NFL with Jim Moore in New Orleans was coaching linebackers. And so he's coaching Sam Mills. Back in 1992. So he's always looking at the linebacking core and how important that tandem is. And those 2 guys, basically right now, for a long time now, they've been playing a dime linebacker here in Philly, where you got your one linebacker, then you got Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, you've got a safety down there. They're not doing that You know, you're vulnerable to the run when you do that. Teams will run you out of that real fast. And so right now, those two guys are basically playing every down. They don't really – I know they have a dime package, but they don't go to it very much.
No, it's wild. Well, I never thought I'd say we're going to look beyond the Cowboys, look past the Cowboys. But a week from Thursday is Washington, and that's the showdown for the NFC East. Washington all over the Giants on Sunday. On a scale of 1 to 10 being legitimate, where is Washington?
Oh, they're legit from an offensive standpoint. Defensively, they might make a move here. You might see them do something today. They made a lot in the offseason, though. They rebuilt their roster. But the challenge really is their offense. You can't get the quarterback to make a mistake. He just doesn't make mistakes. His fast twitch movement to avoid pressure, to release a football, to see the field, the way that Cliff Kingsbury is designing the run game, they're a hard team. If you look at the amount of drives they have and the amount of times they score on the drives, I don't know if any offense in football right now is more efficient. And I know Detroit's number one offense football, but they are extremely efficient. If you give them 8 possessions, they score on 6 or 7 of them. And there's been games this year where they've scored on every possession. They're and it might be just field goals, but they are very efficient on offense right now. And they run the ball as well as anybody.
Yeah, 2 backs, Robinson and Eckler. I mean, I do love their – and it's amazing.
Well, you have to account for Jaden. Jaden is an excellent runner, whether he's scrambling or design runs. I mean, he's excellent, and he's hard to tackle. I mean, because his first step quickness is only maybe Lamar has a quicker first step than he does. His footwork is excellent.
All right, last thing. It's election day, and we when it comes to you, Baldy, you've hobnobbed with kings and presidents, and all. Have you ever been to the White House? Have you?
I was in the Capitol. I was in the Capitol last year. I've never been inside the White House. We lived in Quantico, which is it looks like the Washington Monument is in your backyard there. So I spent my share of time in Washington. The closest I've ever come, honestly, my dad in the state of Minnesota was flying Hubert Humphrey around.
Wow, Hubert Humphrey Metrodome.
Yes, the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. That's exactly right, cuz. That's as close as I've got. He ran for president 1 year, but he was the governor of Minnesota for a long time. He was really a good man, really legitimate guy.
Did you ever you would be a guy who would be great to run for office? Forget about doing the job because I know you don't want it.
No, I couldn't do that. Man.
You fit the suit.
I have no ability to be man.
He fits the suit.
He's more an ambassador. He should be
ambassador
somewhere.
You'd be a great ambassador.
Yes, he's an ambassador.
What country would you want to be ambassador to?
Colombia.
I want to be the ambassador to Italy or to Brazil. I need a great city, to be the ambassador. And if I was the ambassador of Brazil, I'd make sure I'd moved everything to Rio. I don't want to be in Sao Paulo. I want to be in Rio. I would move there.
Rio de Janeiro.
City Hall.
Hey, Baldy, I'm going to drink a beer tonight. Is it possible to drink a beer and maintain a physique like yours, or is it just impossible? Do I have to go tequila?
No, beer is harmless. Beer is harmless, man. Alcohol is harmless. It has nothing to do with your physique. That stuff is just I used to drink Coors Lights out of a funnel. It was just drink a light water.
I know back in the day, 20 beers is nothing for you.
I remember one time I did this triathlon with my brother, my youngest brother. So it was, I forget the distances. But to me, it was as an excuse to go get 2 cases of Corona and just pound them for the rest of the day. They went down, honestly. I had no effect.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's the best.
He's the best.
That's why you're the greatest, brother. The absolute a gem. Thank you, pal. We love you.
Talk to you later this week, man. Enjoy everything.
Baldy.
It's awesome.
It's the best. It's fantastic. I
haven't even. Next time he comes on, I got a note. Last time he just casually mentioned, when I was on tour with Billy Joel for a year.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know that story.
I don't remember him being out there for a year.
Well, I don't know for a year, but he was a roadie.
He's got so many great stories, man.
Yeah, he's kidding
Stories
me.
for days.
He's the best. All right, let's talk about some of our. I'm just pulling up one of our fine reads. That's right, and let's talk about. This is my favorite time when we do the Bet Parks. We do Parks Casino, and he does the singing. Have you seen this?
Oh, of course.
Him and Andrew Frazier. They do it. It's great. We tell you about the Excite Center at Parks Casino, Street Road, Bed Salem. Pennsylvania's #1 casino, so close to anywhere. Street Road exit again, off of 95, the Turnpike. They have the greatest thing in the world. It's the Excite Center, and they have all kinds of tremendous acts. It's a 1,500-seat, very intimate place where you can see the country's best comedians, musical acts. It's so much fun. Tickets on sale now for these headliners. Just announced, comedian Ron White, who's fantastic, March 21st. Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains, February 8th.
I'm the man in a box, buried in.
Your musical culture
Actor
here.
Richard Kind from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Hey, Larry,
Hysterical.
come on, Larry.
What was that voice? January 24th. November 14th, Ezra Ray Hart, the lead singers from Sugar Ray, Better Than Ezra, Tonic, join together for an incredible night.
If you could only see the way she loves me, maybe you would understand.
December 14th, comedian Eric D'Alessandro. November 16th, your boy, Brett Michaels.
Don't need nothing but a good time. How can I resist?
Enjoy dinner and drinks before the show. Liberty Bell Gastropub, Parksville Steakhouse, Bamboo Noodle House, Parks.com for all tickets. Parks Casino, this is how you win. You got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Also, we're all weekend warriors, right? Oh, my shoulder hurts. Everything hurts. I don't know. Joints aching. Back out of whack. Hands cramping. Rothman, gotcha. That's it. At Rothman Orthopedics, practicing specialized care has been their passion for over 50 years. Their mission, high quality, compassionate, affordable care rooted in research. Research leading to new treatments, better outcome. Each Rothman doc laser focused on their specialty, hip, knee, spine, you name it. They have a team for every body part right in your backyard. So you can cross over to defense, drain those jumpers, root for our teams like no other fans in the country. They are Rothman Orthopedics, and they specialize in you. That's right. For more than 50 years, Rothman has participated in thousands of groundbreaking research and clinical trials with the goal of advancing knowledge, developing treatments, improving outcomes for the benefits of their patients. Rothman Orthopedics, specialized in orthopedics and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today. We love our Rothman. All right, what a special treat. I miss this guy. I love him. He's my favorite. And he's doing games now on ESPN. He's the preeminent voice in basketball, at any level of basketball. He is. I miss him. I love him.
Talks pros. Just knows the game.
You know,
We'll talk AAU with you, too.
I'm his biggest fan. I love the guy. He, of course, is Tim Legler. So today is leg day.
Leg day. Leg day. Leg day. Leg day.
What a treat. What a treat. It's leg day. What do you say, my brother? How's the baby?
And he's good, man. Just had a really good Halloween with him, trick-or-treating. You know, we went as Toy Story. He was Woody. I was Mr. Potato Head, which is very apt.
You've been good potato head. That's great. I love it. I love it. What's his range like? I know you got his range going. Is he free throw line extended yet?
I'm going to tell you something, man. So far, it's more about early on, it was soccer. All he wanted to do is kick a soccer ball. Then it was the kid's got a gun on him, so he wants to pitch and hit and knock down objects. But lately, he's been into golf, man. It's the golf swing, which I think serves him better in life than any of those other sports. So we'll get to hoops eventually, but right now he's kind of testing everything out.
Look at that. Golf. I can just see it, man.
Legler in the tour.
Oh, my God. A Legler on the tour? Forget about it. That'd be fantastic. There's so much to go over with you, including your Washington Commanders, because the showdown is next Thursday. But before we get all of that fun stuff, I got to get your read on all the drama. From 50,000 feet, what are you seeing with Embiid?
Man, oh man! I mean, I wish I was there more, a little bit more, like on site, man, getting a better pulse on this whole thing. I mean, I was as surprised as anybody at the start of the year that he wasn't playing. I didn't see that coming, really, based on the fact that he played on Team USA, and then there's another period of time where you got off and you're getting yourself ready for the season. And obviously I was super excited for the Sixers adding Paul George and seeing what that was going to look like. And from a talent perspective, they closed the gap a little bit with Boston. So I really wanted to see this team at full strength. And then, we get ready to start the year. He's not there. It's very, very, very vague and ambiguous about what exactly is going on with him. They get defensive about even questioning it in the beginning, but they don't really give you a good indication of what exactly is going on. Left knee management. I mean, it's just so bizarre, like the way it was even labeled from the beginning. And then he comes out and announces, I'm not playing back-to-backs anymore. So we're all trying to deal with this and cope with what does it mean. I said when I heard all that, first of all, Anthony, I thought that was really foreboding of what this year was going to be like for him. If you're in that state coming into the season,
yeah,
and with his history of injuries, I don't know how you expect to get a ton out of him this year, and certainly be ready for a 2-month stretch April 15th, because that's really what this is about anymore with Embiid. And so I had a bad feeling in my stomach, like, man, you're dealing with this now when you've had maximum amount of ability to rest and strengthen and like get yourself as ready as you're going to be opening night, unless you've had some sort of off-season surgery, right? Guys go through that. You get off-season surgery, and then maybe it takes you a while, before you see somebody. That's not what we're talking about here. So the fact that he's not close to ready at the start of the season, I thought was a terrible sign for the Sixers. And then obviously he is in a very defensive mindset. And look, I thought that what was written was over the line myself. I thought that it crossed the boundaries, I thought, of professionalism. It seemed personal. It seemed like it was bothering that particular reporter more than it should that he wasn't playing. And so I kind of understand how upset and frustrated Embiid was. Obviously, you can't put your hands on anybody ever in that situation, but I do think lines were crossed. And I think with all of the other stuff that he's already feeling, and the defensiveness of not playing, and the questioning of him and his toughness and his integrity and his commitment to the game and all of that stuff he's been hearing, it all sort of exploded the other night. And now, we'll see what the fallout is and the repercussions are going forward. The first thing is you got to find out, when's this guy going to be available and how long is he going to be available? How often is he going to be available? Is he going to be available when you need him most? For a 2-month stretch, if that's what it takes. That's really what this is all ultimately about with Joel Embiid. This other stuff is all going to get cleared up and go away. It's all going to go away. At some point, he's going to play. The question is, how often, how well, how long, and when is he going to be available? That's really what we're talking about with Embiid. And all of those questions, to me, just raises such a level of uncertainty about their season, Anthony.
Yeah, I mean, can you do that? Can you get away with him playing 40 games, 50 games max? I mean, and then build to where you need to be?
Here's the thing. He's so talented. He's so dominant that if I sat here and said to you, listen, man, they're going to have X record without him. We saw what the record was last year without him. Now, look, they added Paul George. That's going to mitigate some of those nights he doesn't play. They didn't have that kind of firepower next to Maxey. So they'll win some games. There's enough bad to mediocre teams in this league. They're going to win games when Embiid doesn't play that they couldn't win last year. But You come from the 6th spot, the 7th spot, whatever it ends up being, the 5 spot, whatever it ends up being. Okay, you're going on the road for 3 rounds potentially in the Eastern Conference playoffs. Okay. With that kind of talent, you could say, man, listen, anything's possible if those guys are all healthy at that time of year. Anything, because he is probably the most unique offensive force in the league. There is no answer for the guy. Problem is, to me, you sound insane if the guy plays 40, 45 games, whatever it ends up being, and you start a sentence with, if he's healthy on April 15th, based on his track record and based on the year that you must have had to get to that point where he's playing a little over half the season. And you sound like a crazy person to then throw that into a sentence, because to me, the benefit of the doubt won't be there that's going to happen. Now, look, maybe he pulls it off and they shock us all. And here comes April 15th, tax season rolls around, and Joel Embiid is ready opening weekend of the playoffs. And he is looking spry and healthy and not gimping around, hobbling around, not bent over, grabbing his shorts, not have a mask on his face or anything else he's dealt with in the postseason. Maybe this will be the year that happens. But you're asking me to suspend reality of what I know the track record to be and the history to be to make that happen. I'll just judge it one game at a time at that point as an analyst. But I'd be highly skeptical if that's the kind of year that he has and he's available that little, that he's then going to be able to pull off being available every other night for that many games and be that dominant in doing so. And
obviously, Morey's building this team with him in mind. So when you take him out, it looks so different. So it's like you can't even prepare, even with a Drummond, you can't prepare adequately without, which is another issue.
Well, listen, there's a reason that they're shooting 33% from the 3-point line. Okay, the looks are challenging, man. They're getting a lot of off the 3 contested shots. And then they got the open ones they get from their role players. Those guys have to shoot better. I mean, let's call it what it is. You've got to make shots at a higher rate. But you know how different those shots are going to look when Embiid's on the court?
Yeah.
Particularly when the 3 of those guys get minutes together, you have to overload to the side of the floor that Maxi's on ball screens, right? That's going to take 2 guys to deal with him. Or, his burst in a gap to the rim. It's going to take an overload defensively. Okay, Embiid is a gravitational force for occupying guys. Paul George also probably to a lesser extent than those 2 guys. Paul George doesn't have the burst that Maxey has. You can play Paul George a little bit more with one guy. I'm not saying he's not a good offensive player, but you can get away with it more with a longer athletic defender and deal with some one-on-one coverage with him making tough mid-range jump shots. Maxey and Embiid require an overload defensively, and that means when the ball comes out of those spots, the shots that Caleb Martin gets and Yabusele gets and McCain get and all these guys get are on balance, towed up with an extra half a count because the defense has shifted to such an extent. They're late getting to you. And I'm telling you what that means for shooters in this league. Now, if you're a great high-level top shelf guy, it's not going to matter as much. If you're a mediocre shooter, that's what we're talking about with these guys, that extra half count is the difference between shooting 36% from the 3 over a stretch of games and shooting 43%. And that's the difference collectively between winning and losing games.
Yeah.
So that's what Embiid means. That's how different it's going to look. So, you try to judge them early in the year. I'm going to be perfectly honest, full disclosure. I've only seen a couple of their games because to me, there's no point in watching them yet.
No,
Paul George
it's great. You're right on. You're spot on. Now I've seen them, and look, having Paul George help Maxey last night, he had much better looks, right? Look, it was a sin for him because they're running 2 and 3 guys at him every night, because that all you got to do is you just got to blitz Maxey, and he's struggling, right? He's like 5 for 20 and 6 for 24 because he's got and he has to carry everything. So last night, when he got a little bit of a break, the one takeaway, I'm curious about what you think, is I do like Yabusele. Yabusele actually, to me, could play a little bit as a role player.
No, I like him a lot. I mean, I loved him, what we saw out of him at the Olympics. That's kind of where a lot of people became really aware of who he was. And he's got a big body. He's funny. He's got that, that George Niang type body, right? It's
Yeah.
just like, man, this guy, doesn't look like he's necessarily grinding in the gym. He's a thicker body guy, but he's explosive off the rim, off the floor, more so than he looks. He's certainly an adequate 3-point shooter because he only takes the ones when he's got time. He's not going to make them off the dribble. He takes the ones that are makeable, and he actually has been one of the few guys on their team that has shot the ball pretty well from the 3-point line. Played pretty well again last night. He defends. I like him a lot too. I mean, he's a great rotational player. He's not like a tipping point guy for them. I mean, they added those. Paul George, Caleb Martin are more so tipping point type guys in Can We Catch Boston. Yabusele is nice to round out your rotation. He's a nice addition, so I do like him a lot. I looked at the game last night. One of the things that stood out to me in the game last night, and this is why it's so important they get time together. Closing games is not just something that we got a lot more talent now, so that gives us more option to close games. That's not how it works. There is a thought process that goes into those moments. And when you haven't played much with a guy, you can see there is a little bit of hesitation. Should I be going right now or should I not? Are you going to be the guy that's going to be the alpha on this possession and I'm going to play off the ball or what? Obviously, when Embiid's out there, it's a lot different because he's always going to get the first touch, and then you hope that he makes a great decision out of that. You could see it last night, though. There was a little bit of hesitancy of how they're going to close games, and they had turnovers. They had not quality possessions. They get a 7-point lead. They're supposed to win that game with two guys like Maxey and Paul George. They couldn't have enough quality possessions, and obviously Durant was sensational, in his shot making to close the game. But that's important to get time together, man. Get reps, get a feel for each other. So there's an ebb and flow that becomes natural and not something where you're thinking too much. And I saw some too much thinking in the fourth quarter of that game last night. And that's going to take time. And look, that's just Maxey and Paul George for the time being. And then you throw Embiid into the mix. That's more time together that you're going to need. And then by that time, one of those guys will probably go out with an injury for 3 weeks. So it's going to be a disjointed season. The talent is certainly there. Will they ever get the continuity? That's the thing that I'm going to have to wonder about probably until the second half of the year before I can really have a decent evaluation of what this is going to look like for them at the end of the season.
All right, so I want to move the conversation a minute to the big picture when it comes to the league. I don't know how you put the genie back in the bottle, but like we're just talking about it. It's all about April 15th. Man, I don't want to flush an entire regular season. And I don't know what you do if you're this league to help manufacture interest, stuff that matters, an entire regular season, Legs. Like, it was never like that. You played in this league a long time. The regular season mattered. And I don't know how you tell a fan base, whether they're in Philadelphia, Boston, San Antonio, that the regular season doesn't matter.
I completely agree with you. And the problem is this. I think that ship has sailed. And it's sailed for a variety of reasons. And I think it starts with they have now turned over a lot of the thought process behind this to analytics guys and the staffs of these teams that make this decision. Now, and everybody knows this. I've been very adamant on my position on the whole thing. You're right. It's a different era. I'm not that get off my lawn guy. I'm not that old. I know this. Like, you're right. When I played, you'd have to wrestle a guy to keep him off the court if he wanted to play, even if he was a little bit banged up. You expected to be banged up and played. What they have now determined is, and I think the evidence doesn't really back it up, is preservation is everything. Preserve, rest. Training camps look more like country clubs now. So that's not used the way that it was when I played. Like, put your body through hell, toughen yourself up, get ready for the season. It's different now. Everything, it goes into preserve legs, rest, preserve. That's everything. There's, practices on day offs, they're almost non-existent unless you're the guys that aren't playing. Shoot-arounds have gone away. By the way, I'm cool with that. I hated shoot-arounds as a player. They're the worst thing in the world. Getting up 9:00 in the morning, day of a game, tying up 3 hours, driving to the arena, practicing, drive home. It made no sense to me.
No.
You can get your stuff done, get to the arena a half hour earlier, go over film, you're good. So I'm fine with the shoot-around thing. But the rest of it, here's why I say the evidence doesn't back it up, Anthony. It's to me, if you can't prove these two things, this is a waste of time. First is, can you prove to me that this is accomplishing the goal of said player, whoever it may be, that just got off 16 nights or whatever the number is for load management? Can you prove to me that that guy is going to be healthier and better when the playoffs start? Because if you can't accomplish that, what's the point of it? Because that's the most important time of the year. That's one. Secondly, if you tell me, hey, man, this is letting guys play more till they're 37, 38, 39, 40 at a high level, and that means you make more money, have a longer career, I actually would sign up for this thought process if you can prove it. The evidence is it's too early in this to know, because the guys that it's applying to, they're not in that category yet. Management to find that out. If they start giving load management, and now I say, hey, wait, look, this guy's now 37 and playing at a really high level. Maybe that's to support that. And then the last thing is this, and I looked this up a decade in 2022. 12 preload management. All those 24 players missed X amount of games due to injury that year. Okay?
Wait, you were
fast forward 10 years. You were in load management. Guess what? They missed 100 more games due to injury. That group of players. So so what are we accomplishing? It feels like guys are getting hurt more frequently with more nights off. So I don't know what the answer is. They tried to address it last year, Anthony, by saying you got to play X amount of games to be MVP or all league. Okay, that doesn't affect that many players in the league. Not many guys have the opportunity to be on those teams or be MVP. Some of those guys have already won an MVP, so they're like, it's all right, I already got one. I'll take the load management. It's a difficult thing for the league. It's tough on the fans. It's tough on the sponsors. It's tough on the networks. It's mostly tough on the fans. That's what I've been kind of railing against, because buyer beware when you buy a ticket to a game. You don't know who's playing. And so you got to just live with the result when you show up at the arena and find out who's not suited up tonight. But buy into the regular season when you know that's how.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Like Sixers Celtics, that should mean something during the regular season. Sixers Knicks Celtics, like all those matchups, but they don't mean anything. And that's the problem with the idea of it's all about the playoffs, and that 2 months is it devalues everything. And now you're telling me don't pay attention. And I love the game, right? Like I love it. It sucks.
Well, to your point, I mean, just look at last season, and we're in the era of load management, right? Look at what happened at the end of the year to the Knicks and to the Bucks. Like these are two teams that you thought had a chance to be the last team standing against Boston. Philly was dealing with injury. So the 3 of the top 4 teams. So you end up with the Indiana Pacers because they took advantage of an opportunity. All kinds of injuries out west. So, and this is one of the things I said about Boston, and I'm not trying to take away anything they did. And they deserved it. I also don't think they got the best punch this league has in what they ended up their postseason looked like, right? And maybe it wouldn't have mattered anyway. It probably wouldn't have. They were that good. And we'll see this year better. When that's the focus, ready to go April 15th, all the best players in the league are ready to go, and they stay ready and they stay healthy. Incredible basketball with the best players playing their hardest. Everybody loves hoops, loves the NBA. If you can pull that off, I think then regular season stuff. But that wasn't the case. You're still dealing with significant injuries at that time of the year, and it actually feels like more prevalent. So, look, man, it's pointless for me to even talk about it anymore. It is what it is. It's not going away. I think players now actually have embraced it. They don't mind getting the nights off. And as a result, that's where we're going to go. The future is the regular season has been diminished in significance. That we have this and last year we didn't really get that because of all the injuries.
Yeah, it's a great point. We're losing. You're going in and out. I got to tell you, I just love seeing you. Love everything. What's your next game?
Sixers Lakers. I'm calling the game on ESPN Friday night.
Yeah, how about it? Love it, man. That's fantastic. We'll all be watching, brother.
Yeah, put on ESPN at 10 p.m. Eastern, and you'll hear your boy go on the call for that game with Ryan Rucco. We're going to be out in L.A.
I love it. I will be on for every minute of the broadcast, as we all will. We love you, buddy. Thanks, brother.
Sounds good, man. I'll catch you.
The great Tim Legler. It's a shame at the end
Some good stuff.
he lost his connection.
Choppy.
But it's his point because it bothers me. Like this regular season stuff bothers me, man. And he's right. Like you can't even sign off the playoffs because guys get hurt. Guys are getting hurt way more.
Yep.
Right? Like everything's so soft now. It's got to take its toll. Like if you're not practicing, is there any like we talk about NFL injuries, all that stuff? Well, if you're not practicing, you're going to get hurt.
Exactly.
He used to tell me a story about Europe, and now let me throw this theory by you guys because he's talking. And I was thinking about this. He used to say they were maniacal in Europe. Mm-hmm. So if you weren't in the game, you were running.
Like during the game?
During the game. You weren't even watching. Like if you were running. Like they would have things in the back and you're doing machines and running, right? Like that's which is insane, right? Yeah. But those guys would do conditioning. They would practice 3 times a day. 3 times a day on non-game days.
They must not have a union over there.
Right? Like no, like that's how crazy it was. But the fact that they were doing that, now you look at the European game and it's closed the gap significantly. So does that mean like when you work at your craft like that and you practice like that, that you're is that the reason why the Europeans have closed the gap when it comes to basketball with this country?
100%. I think it's a different game over there. I mean, they are way more fundamentally sound than Europeans.
But they're also more physical.
They are more physical. So I don't know what they're doing over there compared to what we're doing over here.
Is it a matter of work?
Yeah.
Like, is it a matter of work?
100%. Like anything that you do in life, whether it's writing or it's anything, the more time you put into something, the better you're going to get at it.
Yeah. And if you start to say the college guys here and stuff aren't putting the work in.
But that's sure the college guys. But once you get to the next level, the NBA. They're not putting in the work, and if you want to continuously be good in the NBA, you got to play games.
About practicing. Nobody practices. They don't play games. They don't practice.
I mean, from me coaching youth basketball, the AAU game is a completely different game than anything else, and I think that factors into the AAU game. Doesn't really translate into the NBA.
No, because it's all showcase highlight. Yeah, it's
just fast breaks.
Right. It's not. There's no cohesiveness to the flow of the game.
Yeah, I think the IQ of European players is better.
Yeah.
I think spacing and all that, they look more comfortable.
But it also comes with work.
That also comes
there
with
is a work ethic. That like even the NFL.
Nobody works harder than the USA. I don't want to hear it.
I don't know about
that.
The
more times you're on the court, the more
I'm
times
not wearing this red, white, and blue for nothing.
No, the more times you're on the court, the more times you see opportunities open, and then you can replicate in the next game, in the next game, in the next game.
I understand.
You don't put in the time, you don't become better.
I mean, in the NFL, you training camp, you look at sloppiness. I mean, it's all part and parcel.
Exactly.
Well, and everything's about the analytics. The analytics ruins everything. It poisons it all.
Everything.
It poisons everything.
Even in movies, like every aspect of life, these statistician and math heads, I can't take them.
It's poisons.
Everything's calculation.
It's poison.
It's almost getting to a point where, like, just screw the regular season. Let's just have a playoff.
I know. Well, why even play for 2 months and be done with it?
Yeah.
Hey, time for the Rite Aid back in the day. Rite Aid, back.
We're going back,
When they practice.
We're going back,
Do it, motherfucker.
We're going back in the day with Rite Aid.
It's a Rite Aid back in the day moment.
All right, so I wanted to go some more cheerful because today's one that Philly sports fans want to forget. So we're going to go back to November 5th, 2017, a memorable Eagles game. And it was obviously the Super Bowl year.
Yeah.
But the Eagles destroyed the Denver Broncos. I actually talked to...
I remember that game.
I talked to Vinny Curry game, and they were just locked in on this game, and we got some highlights here from that game. But the one sticking image, is just Lane Johnson putting Von Miller in his place. Like, I'll never forget that game.
That's a good one, man.
Yeah,
That's
was a
good
fun
one.
game.
Broncos, when they trounced the Broncos, that year was a fun year, man. Look at Carson. How about when Mahomes last night, who was warming up? Wentz. I wanted to see Wentz last night. Oh,
The
my
Wentz
God.
Dater.
It's classic.
So that's our back in the day moment.
All right, I love it. That's going to do it for us. Everybody, have a great day. Be careful. Watch yourself out there, all right? Go vote. We'll see you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.